welcome everybody to this session on open banking. We're going to talk a bit about how Revolut and HeyTrade are using open banking to add value to their products. Okay. My name is Pablo Ruano. I'm country manager for TrueLayer in Spain. TrueLayer is an open banking service provider that enables people to make payments online and to share their financial data from their banks. Okay. When we talk about open banking, we normally think about how it can change people's lives and regular everyday tasks, like, for example, getting a loan or saving money and budgeting or even making payments online. Okay? But we have here two fintechs that are not only talking about it, but are actually implementing it and have actually implemented it. So one of them is Revolut. Revolut is a super app that enables people to get the most out of their money. They were one of the first to implement open banking back in 2018 in the UK, and then expanded to Europe and Spain. And HeyTrade is a digital trading platform that enables people to invest online in a simple way using open banking. So I'm glad to have my panelists here. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Ramiro, you wanna start?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me today. I'm CEO of HeyTrade, Ramiro Martinez Pardo.
Hello, my name's Ignacio, and I'm the head of growth here in Spain and Portugal for Revolut. And my objective is to make sure that everybody has a Revolut card and Revolut app on their phone in Spain.
Hello, and I'm Marta Hidalgo. I'm the product manager for Spain in TrueLayer.
All right. Maybe we can sit. Yeah. So, yeah, just to open up the discussion a bit, I just want to start generally with the question, how do you use open banking in your platform? Pretty simply, right? So, Ramiro, you want to start?
Sure. Yeah, it's a fundamental part of what we do at HeyTrade. When we started HeyTrade, as you were mentioning in the beginning, we are an investment platform to buy equities, ETFs, and invest. But we wanted really to make it seamless for any user that is currently has a current account, is a client of any bank over the world, to operate with us. And we saw open banking as core for that mission. We wanted to make that completely seamless so that a user, on the onboarding, but then also day to day, when they are transferring money to HeyTrade from their bank account, it's instant, and they have the feeling almost that they're investing from their bank, and that money, if they need it, they immediately have it also in their account. So for us, it was not a nice add-on into our product, but it was fundamental and really core to what we do.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. How about you in Revolut?
In the case of Revolut, I think open banking fit very well with our vision. As you said, we want to become the app for all things money, and what better way to be able to allow our users to see and manage all their accounts in just one place. And therefore, for us, that was probably the most added value. Also, from a user experience perspective, we're very focused on the user. This type of open banking service allowed eliminating many steps throughout the journey when it comes, for example, to payment that might limit the experience. And so that fitted very well for us. And also from a business model perspective, from profitability perspective, working with directly through open banking allowed to reduce and improve cost efficiency.
Yes. I assume the audience has more or less an idea on what open banking means, but just to give a bit of a visual context, we're going to play a video of how does a payment flow actually look with open banking. So maybe we can play it? Yeah. That's a simple example of how simple it can get to pay online with open banking. And I just want to ask Ignacio, when you decided to implement this in Revolut, what was the real pain that you were trying to solve? Was it eliminate fraud, reduce chargebacks, or whatever?
Well, in this case, what we tried to solve were two things. In one circumstance, what we tried to do is, as I mentioned before, is be able to give that visibility that's in line with our vision, and that's what we call account information service. So being able for the user to see all their accounts in just one place. This is, from a user perspective, super useful, but also from a business perspective, at the moment where we want to launch more products, it also gives us more information about that user, what type of profile he is, the moment that we want to provide new services that require more knowledge about the user in case he uses 2, 3, or 4 accounts.
Yes.
In the case of the other aspect that we're trying to solve, or the pain point we're trying to solve, is more of an experience, truly making it a seamless experience. And that's where we get the payment initiation service. So what we wanted to do there is make sure that topping up in Revolut was easy and seamless. And in many cases, having to top up through the card might lead to failure topping up through the card, or for example, having to do a transfer requires you to go within the other bank account app, dial in, type in all the numbers, making it a very lengthy process. And with open banking, what we did is it was just a matter of inputting the IBAN, and it was smooth from there.
Yes,
so much easier.
Really smooth experience. How did you want to add something for HeyTrade? What pain were you trying to solve?
Yeah, I think as for Ignacio was saying, for Revolut, it was also twofold for us in the beginning. One is the account verification. No? We as a investment platform, we want to verify the identity, need to identify all our users, where the top-ups or the deposits that we receive are coming from. And a lot of brokers or investment platforms still nowadays, they require you to send a certificate from your bank, etc. Open banking and the account aggregation service allow us to do that much more seamless or completely seamless. The second was also the payment side of it, which, as I mentioned in the introduction, we really want to provide the feeling to the user of almost operating from their bank account that they normally use for their transactions. So that HeyTrade is almost the investment extension of that account. So we want to make that payment flow, they add their accounts into HeyTrade, and then the top up, the deposit, and the withdrawals are completely fully automated one way or the other. And I think from the user perspective, having that trust, that confidence that if they need the money, they have an idea to invest today and they can do it immediately, or if they need their money back into their bank, they need it as well, was important. That's the pain that we were trying to solve.
Really clear. And it's clear that you chose TrueLayer to help you in this journey, to include open banking. So can I ask you, any of you, what were the reasons that it made you choose us as your provider? You wanna? Yeah.
Sure. I must say we have an extremely experienced team in open banking actually at HeyTrade. We are not an open banking company, but we do have, our technology team has a lot of experience. So we were extremely demanding, I would say, with the providers and the suppliers that we look for. We, in the very beginning, obviously, technology was a key part, how that integration, how would that work. And I could talk about that, but also I would like to highlight as something different that for me was also the people of TrueLayer. We had I think the vision that I shared, it was immediately understood. Collaboration was extremely good, and I think we've been working since the beginning, with that as a, extremely good collaboration. So I think the final touch was definitely the people that make us decide.
I'm happy that that's your opinion. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, in the case of Revolut, we generally tend to have a bias to do everything in-house. And the reason being is we have more control over the experience, and we do it ad hoc. Whenever we choose a third party, it's normally because we believe that the added value would be greater for the user by working with that third party. And the reason why we chose TrueLayer is because basically we felt that the experience of the user that he was gaining was superior and was of true added value. And then secondly, regarding more strategic reasons, was we have a very global ambition to reach as many countries as possible with our product. And TrueLayer fit into that ambition with their roadmap and expansion plan adapted to us. And I think that, and finally, I have to agree with Ramiro. I think the support from a technical perspective, we're very technical, we're very data-driven, and I think TrueLayer does give you that support. And secondly, that human approach where you, on a day-to-day basis, it's a very hands-on team that helps us make sure that we get the projects done. So,
That's great to hear. Marta, can you tell us a bit, how does TrueLayer work behind the scenes to really support both Revolut and HeyTrade?
Sure. So we are an open banking provider, and what that means is that we've built an open banking network that connects to more than 2,000 banks across Europe through secure APIs. So it's on top of that connection that we've built our payments and data APIs, and through them we allow clients like Revolut and HeyTrade to do several things, which they've touched upon, but I will just reiterate. The first thing is to fetch bank account data. What that means is that we can verify a user's identity, and we can also display all of their bank accounts into one section of the app. And the second would be we allow instant payments, for example, for Revolut. What that means is a user can instantly transfer money between bank accounts and then deposit them into investment or trading accounts without having to go into their online banking, input their data, or having to remember all the details of their cards.
That's great. That's good to hear. And well, there's one question either to Ramiro or Ignacio. How have your customers reacted, when you first implemented open banking, for example, this payment flow that we just saw? Was it easy to adopt? Did you see at the beginning that the customer required some education around it, or was it just, plug and play? Do you want to start?
In our case, very briefly, I think the numbers speak for themselves. I think there's been 100 million euros in top-ups done through open banking just in Spain. And so we are seeing that adoption is growing. It's still early stages. People are beginning to understand what this product is about. So I think focusing on explaining how this is different to a transfer or basically a card payment is something that we're working on. But the numbers are very promising, and the idea is to continue growing. Always being very clear that the data that they're transferring is all under control, that it's being managed with encrypted service, and we make sure that they feel comfortable sharing this data. So that's a bit the reaction and the first initial results we're seeing.
Okay. Yeah. And for us, similar. For us, open banking top-ups is the default method in our app. And that was by design, and we wanted to take the users through that flow, knowing that in the beginning there would be a learning period, a learning curve for the user. And I think the education part on the data, that is, they are going through their bank app, they are not sharing with anybody else. It's just a very simple flow that took a bit of time. I think you need to do an extra effort maybe on the flow, on the user flow, to make sure that this is very clear for the user. But I think the success of it is that once a user adds the bank account to use the open banking for deposits and withdrawals, they don't go back to the normal transfer. No? So they really, once they have that first open banking top-up, they really understand the advantages and understand that it's a much better experience.
And if you were to think about a company that's new to open banking, right, and maybe an investment platform that is now using manual transfers to top-ups, and they were thinking about or considering implementing open banking, any tips or lessons learned along the journey that could help them?
Yeah, I think generally in open banking, the tendency is to focus on coverage, on trying to offer as many banks as possible. And initially that looks good, and you're saying, look, I'm addressing a TAM that is bigger, a total addressable market that's much bigger, and I'm solving more people's issues. However, it's very easy to forget about conversion. And I think my recommendation when considering open banking, it's focusing on the user experience. So every single bank account that we add, are those users having a good experience, and are they being successful in topping up? Because it doesn't make any sense to cover hundreds of banks where only 2% of the time it works, which isn't the case. I'm exaggerating, but what I think my lesson here is focus on conversion versus coverage.
Right. Good advice. What do you think?
Yeah, similar. I think not all banks' APIs work, or this app-to-app confirmation that you have, it doesn't work 100% seamless in all banks. So I think we take a lot of time to analyze, to make sure that experience that Ignacio was sharing is good, no? It's important. And fortunately, I guess in a way, nowadays with a few banks in Spain at least, you can cover almost the full market, no? Some people might still have on more local banks, but very often they might have also another bank account somewhere else in one of the larger entities. So I think with a few entities, making sure the experience is very good, you can basically have the reach that you might need for your business. And I think that focus, having the user always in mind and in the center of your design is what is relevant in the end, or important.
Yeah, for sure. Let me change the focus a bit from the technical perspective of things, and maybe I'm going to ask Marta. Marta, how is open banking developing in Spain, and what traction do you see in TrueLayer?
So in Spain, as you've seen, we're working with innovators like HeyTrade, pan-European and ambitious companies like Revolut, but also other businesses like PaySafe. We're aware that Spain is still a market dominated by debit and credit cards, but open banking payments are showing promising signs of growth. So for example, last year, there was a big improvement in the user journeys that banks in Spain offer, and that has really helped adoption. What happened was that they finally introduced app-to-app payment authentication, which reduced the flow for users, and that has really helped us. Still, there's things that we need to get well done in Spain and more broadly in Europe, and the first one and most important would be a better usability of the instant payment network in Europe, which is SEPA Instant. The European Commission has promised legislation around this at the end of the year, and we're very excited about that, but still in Spain an instant payment can cost up to 12 euros, which is crazy money, yet they're accepting companies like Bizum to actually do instant payments, which is not fair and consistent for the user.
Yeah, interesting. So going a bit more generally speaking, what's next for your business in HeyTrade and Revolut? Not only in open banking, like open banking focus, but in general.
Very, very soon, in the next few days, we have a big announcement, a partnership with the largest probably fund manager company. So we're extremely excited about that. We will be offering a new product on our app, a new fund of funds. And we think it's a great way for savers, for investors to get started in investing. So we are extremely excited about that partnership that is going to be announced in the next few days. Looking a bit beyond, I think we want to continue building on that open banking experience. And as I mentioned, it's core to us. And I think in the wealth tech space, in the investment space, there are still a few ideas that we have of where we can take it a bit forward. So I think together with TrueLayer, we want to keep exploring the options there, because not only bank, I'm talking almost open finance, to have more options there. And I think that's something that we will keep pushing over the next few months with new product, new announcements. I hope we will announce in due date.
Yes, exciting. What about for Revolut?
Yeah, I think, so for Revolut, especially in Spain and Portugal, what we're trying to do is basically try to grow the market significantly. Spain and Portugal are two very important markets for us. This region is our fourth biggest region within Revolut. And we're beyond 1 million users in between both countries. And the idea is to keep growing. How do we intend to keep growing? First of all, investing. We're going to invest significantly more than we have in the past in the region. Secondly, hiring. We're now 300 employees only in Spain. Opening offices. We have the office in Porto. We've opened 2 offices this year in Madrid and Barcelona. And continuing to compete within the banking industry to fight against players such as OpenBanking and ING. We believe that we are the leading neobank, growing 5 times faster than the second player, and we want to continue to grow at a faster rate. So banking is a big focus, continuing leading within the FX business as well. Travel is another big element which we are very strongly positioned in, and we're going to continue to invest there with cashbacks, with hotel, being able to reserve a hotel within the app. Very few banks offer that. So continuing to innovate, investing to grow the business and become a true player in the financial sector here.
Really exciting plans. Marta, what's next for us, for TrueLayer?
So in May, we launched 2 new products. The first one is TrueLayer Payments, and what it has done is expand our payments offering throughout Europe. We include pay-ins, withdrawals, and refunds. But we also launched VRP, Variable Recurring Payments, in the UK, which is an industry first. We're super excited about it, and we have live clients now using it. We also launched last month our integration toolkit, which allows and makes it easier for businesses to now offer open banking payments in their sites. And watch this space because we have new things coming in till the end of the year. I just want to leave you all with the idea that in TrueLayer we innovate constantly and daily on open banking rails to offer our lovely clients here more products, solutions, and services that can allow them to use open banking data and payments to offer a world-class financial solution to their users.
Well, that's really exciting. I want to now open for some Q&A for the audience. So if anybody wants to raise their hand and ask a question. Yes? To educate better the public so they understand. Yes, does anyone want to?
No, I think we have emphasized that, and it's a key element of what you need to do as a company when you incorporate open banking. I think what we are seeing, and this is more the data that we see on our users, is, as I mentioned, when they get to know open banking, you explain and they use it, they keep using it. No, they are really, it becomes their default method, at least for us, to deposit money on our app. So I do think there is a continuous journey. I think there is a lot of work be done on the technology to make that even more seamless, if it's possible, but I think there is still a bit of work to do with some banks. Their APIs are still improving in some cases. But I think once we get there, and we feel in Spain we are getting there already with several entities, it's going to be much easier, no? That education and that experience.
Great. Do you want to add something? No? We're good. We have time for one more question. So does anyone in the audience want to ask something? Yes?
How do you see the development of open banking, and do you have any exciting projects that you're working on currently?
Exciting project, yeah, in open banking. Do you want to answer that? You mean from a TrueLayer perspective or from our clients' perspective? Yeah, all right.
Sorry, what was the question?
So any new projects that we have in open banking, either from our perspective or your perspective?
Okay, go ahead.
The first one for us, honestly, is VRP, the Variable Recurring Payments. We're going to work with Spanish banks and RedSys to actually offer that throughout Europe, which is going to take time. And then the second one, as I said, is extending the usage of instant payments. The European Commission has promised changes. Hopefully they're going to make it like compulsory for all the banks to actually offer that they have to both receive and be able to send, because that's going to be key to making every single user use open banking instantly and easily.
In the case of Revolut, I think open banking allows us or enables us to offer more products to our users. I mentioned it very quickly at the start. So at the end of the day, this is information that we have from our users within their accounts. They can see and we can see what the transactions they've done, and that allows us to get a better profile of him. So initially, if we were to create, for example, a lending product, initially we wouldn't be able because we wouldn't have the whole image of that user. But having more data points of that user allows us to offer him a product such as lending in the future with a better offering for him.
Well, I think that summarizes it. Thank you very much, Ramiro, Marta, Ignacio, and I want to thank also the audience. Hope you learned something today. And if you ever think about embarking in this open banking journey, TrueLayer is here to help, so just reach out to us.